My dad used to have this question, said, families beginning with an agent. Beginning with an agent. It's a really secret service card. But folks, look, first of all, I want to thank the Carpenters Union and with me through my entire career. It was a long living and I think one of the things that she had told you is Tony is along with Larry. Larry, stand up. Because Larry is not able to. Another guy named Charlie Roth before us were inseparable. And when things changed for my dad up in Scranton and lost his job, he moved back to Delaware where he was from. And when he was raised in that street, he was from Delaware to Scranton. And I come home though for every holiday all summer. And when I fell in love when I was in law school, I actually went into law school. I was in college. I went on spring break. I paid $85 the tax return. That's crazy. I'm kidding. And my dad didn't know when he ran an automobile dealership. And so I had a car, and I took 5 guys in the car, and they all chipped in to pay it right down. I went to London. Now, the problem is that there's a lot of critical volume. But I'm the only Scrantonian and the only Irishman who ever has to do it a drinking life. Because too many people had 2 drinks. And so we got down to Fort Lauderdale. And all I was doing is drunk all the time. And I found out that there was a possibility of being able to get on a plane for $20, $22, round trip to go to Nassau. So I told him, I married some nice girls in Nassau. Larry's mail came down. Anyway, so I got in the plane and I had 2 guys with me. We just finished spring football practice at the University of Delaware. And I had been named as the likely starting safety that year and next year. And so we started off, and a guy named, his nickname was Mike McCrann, called Crash McCrann. He looked like Brock Hudson and acted like it. And a guy named Fred Shoes ran one of the biggest banks in Delaware later. And so we went to the British Colonial Hotel. We actually found a bunch of guys from Michigan. We slept on the floor of their place. And we went to go to the beach. Turns out all the beaches in Nassau, public beaches, there's none of the college girls. They're all locals, so there's not many people. So we walked down to the beach this particular day, the first day we got there. And the British Colonial Hotel has this chain link fence that ran from the street all the way down into the water, so you couldn't cross into the hotel area. And so what we're going to do. Turns out the hotel was going in and throwing their towels, saying British Colonial Hotel on it, over the chain link fence. So I had an idea. We each grabbed a towel, put it around us, and we walked in the front door. True story. British Colonial Hotel. And we acted like, and you walked in and you had the registration on the left and down the side, but straight ahead, like from here, half again into the distance from the back wall, was glass looking out of the swimming pool, and then beyond the swimming pool onto the ocean. And so we just walked in like we walked right out. And we're all looking around, and this was beautifully young woman. I said, I'm going to go talk to her. And old Crash McCrann, his nickname, the fullback. I said, no, I am. I said, and Fred Sears, my buddy, flipped a coin, I won. And so I walked up, sat down to the end of the bench, and the sun was coming from toward the water, and it was later, and toward the water. And I sat at the end of the chaise lounge, and I said, my name is Joe Biden. I'm from the University of Delaware. She said, my name is Delia Hunter, and I'm from Syracuse. I said, we started to talk, and just talking, and I watched this yacht pull up in front. It's not a joke. To me, it was a yacht. It was like 40, 45. And I see this guy with a white hat on, white, uniform, not uniform pants, and the shoes and the whole deal. he gets in a little dinghy and he rows ashore. I'm talking to her like you're she, and I'm looking up, and I watch the guy pulls the dinghy up onto the beach, and he starts walking toward us. I'm just watching him. He walks straight to us, and he looks down at me and says, "Nelia, we out for dinner tonight." Oh man. But what happened was, she looked and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry." It was a Whitwire family, a major highway contractor in New York, in New York, in the state of New York. And they were neighbors. And she said, "No," she said, "Joe and I are going to go to dinner." And so with that, she was mortified. She said, "I'm so sorry, but I didn't want to." I said, "Why not?" I had a total of $42 left. Then you could buy McDonald's hamburgers for 19 cents. So she said, "Well, I knew a place we could go." She's a very classy lady. She picked the places I could afford. And so we walked into this particular restaurant, sat down. I ordered a hamburger because I didn't have any money. And she been classy, but she ordered the same thing, like whatever it was. And I was still there. I really was. And, sometimes we love at first sight, but this really was. I was just taken by her. And she was really quiet. She was lovely. And one thing led to another, and she said, "Bill came." And the bill was $48. And I could feel the little table. Well, I could feel this. I put my hand out, I put $40 in my hand. Was fairly wealthy. He was a Navy cook, and in Auburn, if you know Auburn, New York, he had a large diner in Auburn, which is very profitable. He also had the contracts to do Syracuse University. Anyway, he was a fairly wealthy guy. And so I took it, and I said, "I'm so embarrassed." She said, "Oh, what happened to my brother?" Walking back to the hotel, she was staying at. And I swear to God, I hadn't kissed her, we hadn't done a single thing together. And there was a chain, and that post and chain stop in the parking lot for coming out of the. And so, like a horse's tail, I was going to try and jumped over the chain, and I caught my ankle and fell. Totally mortified. She said, "Oh, that's okay. Are you okay?" I said, "Yes." And I got up and I looked at her, and I know, and this wasn't a joke. I looked at her and said, "I think I'm going to marry you. I give my word." She looked at me, not even just me. She said, "I think so." From that time on, I quit the football team that year, and I was in spring practice next year, and I started commuting every single weekend. My dad ran an automobile agency, and I made money by getting, there's a place called Mannheim Auto Auction, and I would drive to Mannheim, and back in those days at Delaware, you could not have a car on campus. And so a lot of the guys that I was with, they were happy to get a chance to drive a relatively new car. They paid $10 for a car when we went back to Delaware. So I'd get a van, take 10 guys, get $100, I'd keep 50. And that's gonna go back and forth every single weekend. And sometimes it just happens. Sometimes it just happens. And so no man deserves one bit, let alone two. When she was killed in that accident with my daughter as well, my two boys weren't expected to make it. They were only just 4 years old. And what happened was that I got put on that 1007 batch of America. God, man, I thought it was a pretty cool thing. But I used to send more things to the Secret Service because I get women sending me pictures. I was afraid of this. Like the guy really, I didn't take advantage of it. But to make a long story short, all kidding aside, I would just give it to the Secret Service. So I decided I really couldn't date anybody because every time I go out with somebody, I had more yeses in Delaware, and you can imagine, very nice to me. And so I just gave up, and I get a call from my youngest brother. He said, "Joe, I got just a girl for you." and he was at University of Delaware at the time, as this girl was. She used to be 9 years younger, now she's 25 years. Somebody said, you'll love her, she doesn't like politics. And I met her, and the third day I went out with her, I realized I was going to marry her. No man deserves one great love alone too. So I've been an incredibly fortunate guy, incredibly fortunate. And that's why I kept coming back up to Scranton, because what happened is I would drive up on, after I paid my guys their money, I'd drive up on Friday through Scranton, up on 81, up into Syracuse, Mexican Lane. And I'd go back and I'd always stop at my Uncle Jack's house on the way back to Scranton. And you know, everybody's from Scranton, but no one ever leaves Scranton. It's in there. But anyway, why the hell I told you that? You know, look, folks, I can't tell you how much I appreciate what you've done. It's a pretty basic thing for me. You may remember when I announced for president, I said I was running for 3 reasons. I said, 1 is to restore the soul of America. We lost the sense of decency that was in the way we campaigned and what people say and how they talk to one another. And the second thing I said, I wanted to rebuild the middle class. If the middle class works, everyone works. Everyone does better. I said, thirdly, I wanted to unite the country. And I was understandably by the national press viewed as they give me credit for being a fairly significant United States senator and able to cross the aisle and get a lot done. But they thought it was extremely naive. I don't know how we can lead the world when we can't unite ourselves. I really mean it. And so we got a lot of work to do. And then I decided my son Bo ended up going volunteering to go to Iraq. He was the Attorney General of the state of Delaware. And he came back, I was in, I think, 36, 38 times in Iraq and Afghanistan as a senator and as a vice president. And I came back, his coach, where he slept, was only about 400 yards from a major burn pit. And the burn pit is about the size of a football field, probably 80 yards long, 30 to 40 yards wide, and everything human waste and oil and the rest. And just like the 9/11 fire we got, my son came back after a year with glioblastoma, stage 4 glioblastoma. And I lost him. And I didn't know what I'm going to run again. I really wasn't. I gave you my word. I had no intention of running again. And then along came what happened down in Charlottesville. And I talked to a mother who lost that daughter who was killed by these coming out of the field in the United States of America in the year 2000. I guess it was 16, 17, 18 rounds later, carrying torches, Ku Klux Klan, Nazi banners, to be literally Nazi swastikas, and marching through the streets. And my future opponent, my present opponent, they asked him what he thought of it. He said, "They're very good people on both sides." I'm going to say something that may sound outrageous to you, but I thought it's the antithesis of everything I believe. I thought I could beat it. And that's why I ran. And so what's at stake now, folks, is our democracy. It's not hyperbole. You may remember when I got the nomination, the first thing I did, I made a speech at the convention, in Philadelphia. And I made a speech on democracy. And a lot of people said, what's he doing that for? Because it is at stake. We've never had this kind of campaign before. And so, for me, it's not about whether or not you're left, right, or center, but what matters to my philosophy of government. But it matters about whether or not you're going to abide by the basic rules. You're going to have a sense of decency. I've never thought I'd see a time when I'm going through a neighborhood or a rural town in the West, and I've seen big signs that's have a Trump sign in the middle that says F. Biden, and having a little kid standing with his middle finger, 7 years old, 8 years old. Oh, I promise it happens all the time. It's not who we are. The point I'm making is this. Think of it this way. If the United States was leading the world, who could step up to do it? No, not a joke. What other country? What other country? I've known every major world leader for the last 35 years. I know them all by their first name. Not a joke. I can give them mention my child. I was Foreign Relations Committee, the senior senator. And, the rest of the world looks to us. I walk in the room, no matter whether it's the G7 or the G20, wherever it is, and they all look to me, not me, Joe Biden, America. Because we are the essential nation. And, Madeleine Albright wrote about it. She was absolutely right. Absolutely right. We have a chance. We have an incredible chance to change the direction of the world without using American forces. We have an enormous chance. So I said before I ran, I was going to write a book on inflection points in American history, where the things that happened in a very short period of time can determine what the next 4, 5, 6 decades look like. We have a chance. We have a chance to change the dynamic in a way that we haven't had before. The post-war era is over. It's over. What's going to follow? And so when I started the book and I decided to run instead, I started the book, I talked about how technology has changed the direction of the world. Were it not for Gutenberg inventing the printing press, there would be no unity in Europe. There wouldn't have been communicating with one another at the period of time. All the way to the silly example of Nixon would probably be president, but for a televised debate where he perspired a great deal. And no, I'm not joking. I'm thinking these things matter. Even to now, look what's happening on TikTok. Look what's happening. What are the sources of information? These press people are all honest and decent. They take real risks. And not a lot, they don't all like me. No, I'm serious. That's just an entitled to that. But they take real risks. But folks, think about it. Where do people get their news these days? And all the data shows hardly anybody watches the nightly news and relative terms. Who reads the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and so on? I mean, what percentage of people? So where do they get their news? And it's so easy to just lie and not know what's true. So we got a lot at stake here. A lot at stake. To me, it gets down to a basic thing. My dad used to say, for real, my word. He said, Joey, a job's about a lot more than pollen, about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about people look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. And mean it. That's what this is all about. The vast majority of American people just want an even chance. Just a shot. Just a shot. And it breaks down to everything from taxes to philosophy. But with your help, I've been able to get a lot done that no one thought could get done. We've been able to get a lot done. Well, there's so much more we have to do, but we can't do it. But we have to win. And it gets down to old-fashioned politics. It gets down to knocking on doors. It gets down to telling stories about why you're for what you're for. It gets down to being able to teach people to put yard signs up. It matters. Last point I'll make, and I'm too long, and I apologize. Last point I'll make is we have over 120 or 160, what's it up to now? Individual contributors. 1.6 million individual contributors. 550,000 more than before, since we started, new contributors. You know what? 97% of those contributors contribute less than $200. 97%. There's a real groundswell going on because of you. It matters. It matters. And people are contributing $5, $10, $30, $50. And it's having a real impact, a real effect. We opened more campaign offices because of you all than he had no any that I'm aware of. Not being facetious. Not being facetious. We're also in a situation where we're in a position that we're generating paid staff that's significant. And we're growing in every state. I've been to every single of the postal states so far. And guess what? I don't think anybody knows anything about polling. It's awful hard to poll these days. Because, no, I'm serious. But guess what? even in the polls that are being used now, we're ahead in 35 polls. It's just about continuing to push. And again, one simple proposition. How do we give hardworking Americans an even shot, an even chance to make it? Just that, nothing more than that. And how do we move people together again? And I think we can do it. I'm confident that we're going to be able to do it. And I feel very good about where we are because of all of you. And thank you for what you're doing. Again, I didn't mean to tell you so much.
Folks eager to ask you questions, if we may.
Sure.
Absolutely. Sam.
Mr. President, what made you run for president? Simple proposition. And I asked that question. This came from my old home where I was raised in Scranton. Simple proposition that just simply people just want a shot. They just want an even shot. And just to being able to realize the possibility that what they care about matter, what will happen. What made me run for president is the fact that I moved from Scranton. My dad was born in Baltimore. They say Baltimore. And his dad was an American Oil Company. They opened up the American Oil Company. Emeco became his father's family. They opened up New York, Pennsylvania, and then they opened up Scranton. And they moved to Scranton. My dad was a junior in high school. And you know, and so I was born in Scranton, and then we moved back to Delaware. One thing that I hadn't seen in Scranton, very few African Americans in Scranton when I was here in Lackawanna County, very few. But in Delaware, we have the 8th largest black population, percent of population of any state in the nation. And in addition to that, we were one of those border states that couldn't, and was a slave state that fought the side of the Northeast that couldn't figure out how to get to the South. No, I'm serious. So was Maryland, so was Tennessee anyway. And so I remember we moved to Delaware. We lived on what later became Section 8 housing a long way, but very, very modest apartment complex was being built in Claymont with about 400 apartments. And I remember that they'd drive Mom and drive us up to school in the morning because it was too dangerous to us. The Philadelphia Pike was an access highway. It wasn't I-95, which is now the way to get there. But she was worried to cross the streets. So I was in 3rd grade. My sister was in 1st grade. And they drove us in the parking lot, and we used to watch, and I couldn't understand why this little Catholic school, I went to Holy Rosary, why this bus would go by when we pulled the parking lot. I think I was referred to now as colored children. There were no whites in it. And even though the major school, public school, Claymont High School, was the right-hand turn 3 blocks up. I remember asking my mother why I couldn't come, why that bus go all the way downtown. She said, because I'm not allowed to go to school with white kids. I'm allowed to go to school with white kids. And that had an enormous impression on me. And it got me engaged in the civil rights movement. I wasn't in great shape, but I became a public defender after getting a job with a fancy law firm. My city in Wilmington, Delaware, is the only city in America occupied by the military for 10 months. The National Guard stand on the corner drawing bayonets for 10 months when Dr. King was assassinated because of the riots that occurred. And so I got involved trying to change the Democratic Party and turn it into more the conservative party that raised. It was the Democratic Party in Delaware. And the Republican Party, which was the party to come, was very, very restrictive on economic issues, but it was more open. So I joined a group of senior members of the Democratic Party to try to reform the Democratic Party and move it to more of a Northeastern Democratic Party. The governor of Delaware could choose to be part of this other governor's conference in the Northeast. And the Democrats often chose to be part of the Southern Governors Conference. And the southern part of the state, the canal goes across the top of my state. There's the Chesapeake and Delaware Canal, because it bisects the state. And we just go below that canal, and it's not a criticism. Talk at you like this, it's your Maryland, very southern the way they talk, the way they move and everything. And so I got involved and tried to change the party. And one thing led to another. And I remember they came to me and said they wanted me to run, local folks, trying to get people to run, just show up as Democrats in areas that they weren't able to win. And so I got caught up as a public defender, part-time, and I had law practice. I was starting home. And with that, I remember a group of people from Ellesmere, Delaware, the Democratic organization, came to see me, wanted me to run for the state senate. And I said, I can't do that because I'm just starting a law firm. I can't go to Dover. And then came back about 3 days later and said, well, why don't you run for the county council? I said, I can't do that. They said, come here. They walked me to my window in my office and looked across my street. They meet there twice a week. So they wanted me to run that district, go Democrat to run. They said, well, at least I could do my job. I could go out to run, demonstrate that we're really. And the problem is I asked my sister, who was graduating with honors from Delaware, was smarter than me, and ran my campaign. And she won a campaign and we down and never won. All of a sudden I was in the county council. And but the Republicans saw something I didn't see. God's truth. They saw in me that I was going to do something beyond that. I was elected to a 4-year term. And what they did was they reported me to a 2-year term. So we needed to up around. And I was happy with that. I was prepared to leave and for my practice to work in the party. And one thing led to another, and I won't bore you with the detail, but one day I showed up at all-through convention, and I was in the motel, the local motel, getting changed after the afternoon session, go back to the evening session. I come down with some young activists, a little older than me, but still young activists, who were involved in trying to reform the party. And I was in one of those 8x10 bathrooms where they had a shower, toilet, and a sink, and I got a towel on me and shaving cream there, bam, bam, bam at my door, really loudly. And when I went to Hilton, I thought of this guy, Bob Cunningham, on a radio show, and a couple other guys. I said, okay, guys. And I walked to the door and opened up, and standing there was the former governor of the state of Delaware, Albert N. Carville, big guy, about 6'5", talked at you like this. And the state representative who got defeated 4 years earlier as a Democratic state rep, who was retiring. And one of from the family that had more senators appointed than any other family in American history. At the time, it was a former retired justice and the state chairman. And they said, I'm standing for my shame. And with that, they looked at me and said, I said, come away, you just had dinner when I'm talking to you. And I walked in and said, okay, gentlemen, I ran in the bathroom thinking I could put some money. All I could do was take up the shape. Look out, I had a bunch of that's taken up. I'm sitting there, I'm sitting down and said, Joe, we just said that we think you should run. The Senate, I said, I'm not the one. The former justice looked at me and said, Joe, you're obviously the global constitutional law. You have to be 30 to be sworn in. You can be elected at any age. You'll be 17 days after your appeals. One thing down there, I don't know about you, but all of us who have some teacher or some professor we really had faith in, or my political philosophy professor in Delaware, which was trained to our Delaware, trained over in my role, was one of those guys, and I called him, I said, "Can I stop by and see him?" And I remember seeing him and asking him my question, what do you think I should do? He said, Joe, remember what Plato said. I go, what the hell did Plato say? So this is an interesting story. He said, Joe, the penalty good people pay for not being involved in politics is being governed by people worse than themselves. And I was opposed to hitting on war anyway. One thing led to another. I ended up running, not with any enthusiasm as I started, but we had the same kind of lot of young people who had been thinking about testing Thursday. We had a picnic for our volunteers at the end of the summer. And there was some ads on the radio. Do not take I-95 south. Why is having a picnic? I'm serious. Next thing one of my 60% of the vote, we went by around 3,100 votes. Well, my point is, it's not complaining, but I love great leaders. Bloggers, I mean, Biden knew he's going to run for president, knew he's going to happen. But folks, it matters. It matters what we do. You wouldn't be here. You wouldn't be here doing this. Forget me, we wouldn't be here. The problems of state. We have enormous opportunities. Enormous opportunities. I don't know if that kind of overreaches your question.